少年ジャンプス。
Hold on to your ass handles. It's finally time. This has been a long fucking time coming. Welcome back to Shonen Chumps, the only anime podcast on the gosh darn internet that features the three of us. As always, I'm Brennan.
I'm Sean.
I'm Dylan in the FRANXX.
And if you didn't know what we do here, we watch anime, and then we hang out, and then we talk about it. And you are welcome to come hang out with us as we talk about it. Anyways, the anime we watched this episode was Darling in the FRANXX.
Alright, so as always, we love talking to you, we love hearing from you, we love our fans, the Chumps. And if you want to talk back to us, you can tweet at us at shonenchumps, or you can email us at shonenchumps@gmail.com. And if you want to listen to us, even though you're already listening to us, we're on YouTube, youtube.com/shonenchumps, SoundCloud, Google, Apple, iTunes Play.
All of those things.
Google Play / the new Google Podcast app, I guess.
I mean,
either one
yeah.
of those, we're on both.
Are we? Whoa,
Yeah.
cool. Hey, look at us. Anyways,
We're fancy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Go listen to us in a different format if you want. Talk to us every time you want to.
If you're listening to us right now, which I know that you are, because how could you not be if you're hearing the sentence?
Right, by nature.
Switch formats of how you're listening to us.
Yeah, give us some love on a different format. I actually don't think you mentioned the email, which is shonenchumps@gmail.com.
I did, but...
Oh my god, I did this to you last episode, too. Shit, okay.
Anyways, in an unprecedented turn of events, we have a guest today. And that guest is our boy Joel.
Yo, what's up?
Hey,
Yo,
Joel.
what's up, Joel?
What's up, Joel? Should we ask him quick fire questions?
Yes. Joel's
Yeah.
a friend of ours. He also likes anime. Tell us a bit about your taste in anime, Joel.
Hello.
I'll give
Wait,
you...
favorite anime?
Favorite anime?
All time. GOAT.
time?
Top 3 at least.
Okay, Cowboy Bebop.
Nice.
That's just original OG. What's it called? Ping Pong. The animation is up there.
Whoa, don't know
okay.
what that is.
I don't know either.
That sounds
Deep cuts. Deep cuts.
It's a hidden gem that like no one has watched, and it's about ping pong, but it's so good. What else is there?
I'm down.
What's the one with the Ikebukuro where they're
Durarara.
first season?
Okay.
First season.
Thank
My
you for
boy.
saying that.
Damn it.
Thank you.
I'll watch the other seasons,
Yeah.
but the first season's the best. Like it's like
Anytime
Right.
they mention Durarara being good, I always just chime in and say first season.
I liked watching the other 3 mini seasons as a fan. It was just like fan service more so than it was like as good of a plot.
Right.
Right,
There are
yeah.
3 other seasons?
Well, no, there's just Durara X2,
Oh.
which has 3, like, sub-seasons.
Parts.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, 3
okay.
parts.
It's like 3-part seasons.
Yep.
Anyway, well, that's cool.
So yeah, now you know he has creds.
All right, so again, as always, what do you guys think of Darling in the FRANXX in one sentence? Dylan, the man who just sighed.
Man. Okay, so I'm hoping that over the course of this podcast, my opinions will change, because sometimes that happens. Last week we talked about Megalobox, and I liked it, and after we discussed it, it made me like it more. But as of now, my sentence for this anime is, there was no reward. Period.
Nice.
Interesting.
Brennan?
All right. Well, I had high hopes for this show. I really did. And when I started watching the show, I was very disappointed. But it came out on top. That's my sentence.
Nice. That was concise.
Thanks.
That was great.
You gave me a long one last week.
Yeah.
So I blessed you with a short one this week.
Nice.
Sean.
Okay, my sentence. So we all know that Kim Kardashian chose to dye her hair pink because of the main character in the show, right?
Yeah.
Zero
Zero
Two.
two.
Yeah.
And I think that's very fitting because the show is a lot like Kim Kardashian. It looks really fucking good, but it's really fucking stupid. That's my sentence.
It's definitely like very cookie cutter. That's a simple one, but I like if I were to like compare it to anything, I would say it's like trying to be Evangelion, but just ending up being like Gurren Lagann. At least the second half of Gurren Lagann, which is the worst half.
That's interesting.
I love the idea of that sentence. I haven't seen either of those animes, but you've intrigued me. I also want to interject and say one other thing on the subject of Kim Kardashian. We're very happy to have Joel here, but he was our second choice. We tried to have Kim Kardashian on the show.
We put it out
We tried to make it happen.
We really did.
It just didn't. Schedules conflict.
But I mean, hey, doors open. Kim, if you're out there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
She's
We
not
know
out
you
there.
are.
but Joel's pretty dope. So anyway,
I'm a natural fit. I'm brown and wear glasses, so it's just like
nice.
Yeah.
I'm like a shonen chump.
That's
kind of,
what
like,
some of us look like at the table.
Right.
Viewers who haven't seen us before. So it seems like three of us at this table had a negative
Yeah, I'm
reaction to the show.
I'm
So Brennan, so tell
I'm
us,
gonna
dude.
champion this show.
But I want you to
I'm gonna
convince
play
me.
devil's advocate
There were
this entire
times.
podcast.
There were times where I thought like this show was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was going in a good direction, and then it let me down, and then it came back, and in the end, I was let down.
I just gotta say, like, I had a good time watching the show.
So did
But
you
it was-
enjoy it overall?
Yeah, like, I enjoyed watching the show, but for some reason, like, I enjoyed it and it was stupid. Like,
Fair.
everything that happened was just kind of stupid.
I enjoyed it for like quite a run, but then in the end, it just like I felt unsatisfied.
Yeah.
I think I started watching the show while you were in Japan, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a head start, and I'll
Right.
watch like a few episodes, and I watched like a bunch.
Yeah.
Because I was like actually
It sucked you
getting
in.
into it. I was
Okay.
like, oh, this is cool. I want to know what's happening. And then it just left me hanging.
Interesting.
Yeah. I definitely had hope, and then it just like crushed my soul at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So
Brendan, why is the show good?
Yeah.
Tell me, well, like, why do you like it so much?
I'll give it to you in very brief strokes, and we can dive into it as we continue talking
Sure.
about this.
Right.
Okay, so all of the Ava references aside, because anyone who's a longtime listener knows that I have such a hard-on for fucking Evangelion that it's ridiculous. And just generally mecha. But all of, like, the genre aside, just knowing certain things like, oh, okay, so this is a collab between Trigger and A1 Pictures. So having seen stuff like Kill la Kill, and I haven't actually watched all of Gurren Lagann, but I've seen some of it, and, you know, it's pretty interesting. It's cool stuff.
So Trigger is a anime production studio, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's right. Who are comprised of ex-Gainax people.
Who made Evangelion?
Yes.
Right.
And the director of this show also started his career at Gainax when he was 20 years old. So I feel like a lot of the sort of Ava-isms and stuff is sort of like more of a humble homage than it is sort of like a ripoff or like trying to even sort of steal the feeling of it.
Right.
But all of that aside, I had high hopes being like, this is going to be a new mecha classic, just based on all the factors going into this. And then when I started watching it, my first impression of it was this is some dumb, like, fan servicey, really just sort of unnecessarily over the top. It's just gonna flop because it has no substance. The whole thing with the pilots having to, like, that's what they try to hook you with. It's like, guess what, guys? They get in the cockpit doggy style.
okay, so that was my first note, and it was actually I debated making that my sentence.
Right.
My first note for the show was, dude, why do they have to pair in doggy style?
Right.
Why?
It's a bad first impression.
Yeah.
It's a
It
bad
is
first
a bad
impression.
first impression.
And also,
They're children.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're children.
yeah, and even like aside from that, when we're first introduced to Nana, she like hops off the plane, the doctor pinches her butt. It's like, oh, it's one of those anime. Okay.
Right.
And then we see like the first Klaxosaur, I guess that's what they're called.
Yep, Klaxosaur.
Klaxosaurs appear, and it's just this big blue square block, and you're like, what is this? This is the most lazily designed thing ever. And then it explodes like an angel in Evangelion and rains blue blood down. You're like, ew, what's going on? This is such a half-hearted attempt at being great, or at least trying to like steal from greatness. Mm-hmm. But then the show goes on, and we start to see more character development, and that's where it starts to get good for me. At least where, like, we're given such a big cast from the jump, and they all wear uniforms, they all look the same, they all kind of act the same to a degree because they're all teenagers. And then they start to differentiate a bit. And then there's more and more shit going on where there's love triangles and love quadrangles and pentangles, and sort of the tumultuous nature of being a teenager becomes a huge theme of this show. And that really, I thought, was fucking sick. And that sort of worked its way into the whole aspect of it all. And also, as the show went on, the way it sort of built its world and the way it sort of delivered information in regards to its canon and its sort of like lore, I thought was like amazing. I thought it was perfect, because I've watched plenty of other mecha shows where there's something big and crazy going on in the world that you don't know about, and like when it ultimately comes down to it, like the information is delivered super sloppy, and you end up doing a lot of headcanon and having to do like a lot of backflips to make things make sense in your head. But this made perfect sense, and it was interesting all the way through. Even though it got kind of cornball at certain parts, I feel like you can chalk up a lot of that to it just being geared towards a younger audience.
Did it make sense at the end, though?
I feel like that's where
What the fuck was that alien shit?
Yeah.
Also, like, why were they traveling through space for like 8 years? Or like 3 years?
And why did she become a giant version of herself?
Yeah, like
And also, why did she have tits at the end?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, we're getting like way far ahead.
I mean, I can give you answers to those questions if you want.
But I will say that I definitely agreed with you at the beginning. It was,
Right.
it was just kind of like there are all these like nothing characters, and then they start to get fleshed out. And the fact that they were teenagers is like, well, one, such an animeism, but
course.
I started to get into it myself, especially when we were realizing that these kids haven't been really educated at all. They don't know what like puberty is.
Right.
Then you start asking questions like, why?
Yeah,
Right?
it does
Yeah.
take place on Earth, which has, like a similar timeline to ours. They're just like further into the future.
Yeah.
Right? Like when after Earth's been ruined, and I liked that. I
Yeah.
like that they, get to see like relics of like the old world, and they see something like, oh, like what to expect when you're having a child. Like that was all interesting.
Right.
And even just them going through puberty, and one character, Kokoro, just feeling like she wants to have a baby, like that was all really cool. So I guess the world building and the characters as they got fleshed out was great initially, and I guess that's part of what hooked me in, but it just seemed to fall apart. Like that's a huge redeeming quality of the show,
Right.
but I felt like they didn't do anything in the end.
Yeah, that's true. My most redeeming quality of the show is just how good the art style is. I think the
Yeah.
art style
Yeah,
is
it's
amazing.
beautiful.
It's one of the
Beautiful.
best looking shows I've ever seen.
It's very clean, and also,
Yeah.
all of the action scenes are just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, they are. Everything in the show looks like immaculate. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
fucking amazing to look at. I just
Yeah.
want to stress that point.
Yeah.
And the color palette is so fucking good.
It's
Yeah.
so nice,
Yes.
dude.
Everything is so good to look at. One thing I noticed in the show, like in episode 1, is that it takes us no time at all to see a naked girl.
Right.
Like 02 is just naked in a pool, like right at the beginning.
Part
True.
of the bad first impression for me.
Right,
It's
yeah.
like,
I would agree, definitely. Like the first couple episodes were like,
it's just like, ooh.
what am I getting into? Especially you just get introduced to the cockpit, and just like a naked
Right.
pink girl comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, I wrote down that this show is like watching a porn parody of Eva. And that's like it's like not even a joke at that point. It's just like a fact. It's like a porn parody.
You're
of
not
Eva.
wrong.
Yeah.
I found it really funny in episode 2 when Hiro and Ichigo try to pair together. So they were like, she's already like in doggy style, and then like he can't actually move, and it just like read like impotence to me because she's like, "What's wrong? Like maybe you can get it back again." Like,
Dude,
it's just like
that
just, like,
entire
just like jerking off and like
He's like, "How about now?" No, not yet. It's like, oh my, it's like, dude, that entire sequence was just like someone in the writer's room was just like, I really just need to get this off my chest. Like,
yeah.
someone else out there has to feel the same way I do. So I'm gonna make this part of the plot.
It definitely like talks about that like uncomfortability and like going through puberty and just like realizing like your sexual identity, which is like a giant theme of it, right?
Yeah,
Right.
of course.
Which was like, I think that's what made the first like 10, 12 episodes really interesting.
Right.
yeah.
Even like what's the girl with her hair's gray now?
Ikuno.
She,
Yeah.
I thought she had the most interesting like part when the nines come in and she slaps them because
Right.
she's gay.
Right, yeah.
And so she's mad at like the regular like all the other kids because they're straight and that they can like their biology is meant to be together, right?
Right, yeah.
And so I thought that was really interesting that they like pushed that.
Yeah,
Quandrum.
that was like a pretty powerful moment. Earlier in the series, we had
Did I like blink and miss that?
That was
What,
like
that
best-
Ikuno's a lesbian?
Wait, when did that happen?
it happened in like it happened in like the late teen episodes. I
Yeah,
want
it
to
was
say
like
like
18,
19 or something,
17,
18 or
18,
19.
something around
It's
there.
after they take Grand Crevasse, and then they've been sort of left at their mansion alone for like more than a month.
Right.
And then the nines show up.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yo, we're crashing your party. What's good?
And that's
Yeah.
Okay, wait, what is Grand Crevasse?
It's the big crater that the
When
the
they-
master
yeah.
weapon is stored in. I forgot what the name is. Star Traveler Carrier.
This is just another metaphor for sex.
there were way too many just like words where I was like, what are you talking about? Wait, what's that again? What's this? Like, what the fuck? What the hell? No, I'll bring that up after.
I know you guys are it's like, I know it got a little bit hard to follow, but when you compare it to shit like Evangelion or even like Eureka 7, like I love Eureka 7. Joel, are you familiar?
I have actually not seen Eureka 7.
Fair enough. But I'm still the only one.
You haven't seen Gurren Lagann.
I mean,
That's a classic.
no, I'm saying I'm all alone in this because I fucking, oh god, I love Eureka 7, but I feel like not enough people love Eureka 7.
That's fair.
But also, that's a show that this show made me think of, because there's also like a similar dynamic between the main characters.
Yeah.
It's like a girl and a boy piloting a mech. That's the bulk of it.
Yeah,
Right.
I can definitely see that.
But it is so convoluted, and there's so much shit that flies over your head that there's no explanation for, that you're doing so much headcanon for.
Right.
Yeah.
That at the end of it, even though it's great, or at least I think it's great, you're still like, you're doing math. You're like, wait, this person did this person wanted to do that, oh, this person's a part of this group, and that, oh, okay. So I guess that means this person, okay, it all works out.
So I guess Ikuno's lesbian.
But like, in this, it all made sense.
Yeah,
It was
I
all
didn't
very
find anything in the show
straightforward.
to be confusing. Things that you might be considering confusing, like Dylan,
I think it's
I just thought was kind of like silly and dumb. Like,
Yeah, I think just like all the names of things
There's
were
a
just
lot
starting
of-
to
But-
get
but also-
mixed up in my head, and a bit toward the end, I think I started to get really confused.
so like,
about certain
how
things.
do we know that she's a lesbian? Like,
Wait, so Sean, there's
like,
actually a
so-
scene.
How did you zone out during
You
that?
missed like an entire big scene then.
There's, like, a
because
bunch
I
of
don't,
scenes.
I don't
You're, like,
get how
taking
you
a
could have
scene
just,
from
like,
missed that.
dildo.
just remind me what the scene is, and I'll probably
Ikuno
remember. it.
throws herself on top of.
Oh yeah, she kisses the girl.
Ichigo.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. She kisses the girl.
She's like, she pulls her hair down in like
Yeah.
a super fast and just like jumps on her. Is like, yo, I love you.
I remember this.
She actually says, "I love you
Yeah.
too."
I remember.
So
remember.
what I was going to say is it's interesting because we earlier in the series we have some characters realize their feelings for others, right? Ichigo
Right,
yeah.
realizes that she loves Hiro. Goro realizes that he loves Ichigo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think by that point, Kokoro and Mitsuru both had feelings for each other, and they're like together. Is that after
Kokoro
the
and
wedding
Mitsuru.
thing? No, it's
It was-
before. It's
she
right
was
before
with
the wedding
bread
thing.
man first.
yeah. She
he
was
was
with
the-
Bread Boy.
Yeah, she was
for a little while.
But so
really
we have
upset.
these characters discovering their sexuality,
Yeah.
and then we have Ichigo just Wait, is that right?
Ichigo.
Sorry.
Yeah, like bleach.
Sorry, I'm just
Ichigo
looking at my notes
just-
right now. I need to interject.
What?
And for my notes for episode 18, it says lesbian girl is, well, a lesbian, and gets on top of Ichigo.
So you
I just
remember.
totally blanked out.
But they were like,
That was a really powerful moment. She even says something
It's 'cause
like,
she's
I
all
wish the
fucked
world
up. Yeah.
wasn't the
Yeah.
way it was, but if the world wasn't this way, then you wouldn't be who you are.
Right.
Or no,
Right.
I wouldn't be who I am, and you wouldn't be who you are, and I would hate that.
Exactly.
So that was
Yeah.
like her big...
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was like a
probably
really
the best
beautiful
moment.
sentiment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like real touching.
Yeah, dude. I felt like there was a lot of that, especially in like the second part of the because like, did you guys watch the behind the scenes stuff as well?
No.
Nope.
I skipped that
Okay.
episode.
I watched both of them. They're actually pretty eye opening, pretty good.
Yeah.
Because you get a sense of the real heart that these poor fuckers working on this anime have, and how much they really wanted to convey with it.
Right.
But I guess the lead writer, at least one of them, mentioned that this show is kind of divided into 4 arcs, where it's like the first arc is focused on Hiro and 02 and their relationship, and then after that it becomes like all of the kids' relationships with one another, and then after that it becomes all of the kids together with and their relationship with the adults in the world and the greater world around them, and then at the very end it comes back to Hiro and 02.
Right.
They have the worst relationship too. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
I do agree because it is the most cliched.
It's the most graded.
Like, the parts surrounding those two were the least interesting parts of the show by
Yeah.
far.
Right, but
Yeah.
I do want to say that 02 is one of the most interesting characters in this show, and that's a pity that they couldn't have had a more interesting relationship, because I think Hiro is so fucking bland.
he's so typical.
He's
like,
Yeah.
it's like almost like an isekai hero, where it's like they give you a blank slate so that you can fill that role psychologically. It's like
Yeah.
they want the kids watching the show to be like, wow, I could be that guy because he's so much like me, because he's such a general character.
yeah.
Right.
But I did think 02 was really interesting.
02 was cool, yeah.
I feel like
Give you that.
Why was she interesting?
I feel like a lot of this had to do with the way the Japanese voice actress played her. I felt like it was really convincing because with the dialogue that she was given, like she mentioned this in the behind the scenes sequence as well, where it's like if she read it too straight faced, she could come off as a completely like an anti-hero or like some kind of antagonistic character. But if she was too playful and cute about her lines, she could have just been completely harmless. But she found that interesting balance where you were always, or at least I was always kind of guessing, or I was like, where does this character sit in all of this? Obviously she's the main character to a certain degree and also like the main love interest,
Yeah.
but like it, like to what degree is she gonna fuck everything up? Like, is she like a really evil person? Does she have bad intentions? Does she actually care about Hiro? Does she care about any of her teammates?
Yeah.
So I was always guessing, and I thought that was really cool because it's not very often that I can't just read a character and be like, okay, this is their arc.
Right.
At least for the first half.
I wish they kind of doubled down on her, like, because she like went through such traumatic experiences as a kid, and like it would have been like a good way to just show like teenage angst. But like I feel like there was like she like fucked up, and then they're like oh, now we're all good with you now. It was just like
There's a lot of back and forth. I
yeah,
felt like. And speaking,
Didn't she go to all the other kids with a knife?
she beat them up.
She
She
kicked their
beats them
ass.
up and hasn't. Yeah, oh yeah, maybe not a knife, but she attacks all of them, and then they're all like best of friends, like really soon after.
Something happens.
Dude, it's
where she-
okay. So that whole episode, it was episode 14. That actually created a lot of stir when it came out, amongst, weirdly enough, the fandom of this show, which I think is like super silly, like really dumb, because that's also the episode where Ichigo confesses her feelings to Hiro.
Yep.
And she's like forcibly trying to keep him and 02 apart because she did try to kill him more or less previously when she was going all crazy trying to quote unquote become human by killing more Klaxosaurs.
So that she could be reunited with her original darling.
Right, because at that
realize
point
was
neither
Hero.
one of them had that flashback or realization. And a lot of people got fucking mad, dude. Like to the point where apparently they were sending like death threats to like the personnel on the production teams and like stuff like that, where they're like,
So lame.
oh, how, yeah, it's like you should be fired from your job and shit, because everyone was mad that they put Ichigo in between 02 and Hero. It's like, don't you dare put a perfectly logical fitting character in between these other two characters. Like, it doesn't make any sense why people would be mad about that, because it makes sense for Ichigo's character, because she's a confused teenager as well.
Yeah.
Even though she's the leader of the squad and she keeps everyone else in check, managing her own feelings has been like tumultuous up until this point. And like it at this point, I think it's just Goro, Ichigo, Hiro, and 02. So it's like a love square. I don't think Ikuno's in play at this point.
But Goro didn't really. He wasn't proactive.
Right, he was just sort of chilling. He's just like tossing his feelings from
He's
the
like,
back.
yo, I
He's
love
like,
you, but I
also
know you love
you.
Hero, so it's chill.
I'm just
Yeah.
a respectable human being. I'm Goro. The best guy.
The best dude.
Yeah, I remember there's a lot of hate for Ichigo. I remember
It's like,
reading that.
but it didn't make any sense, because of course she's gonna go and like confess her love to Hiro.
Yeah.
Maybe I thought it was dumb that he just went, cool. Anyways, 02, where's she at? You know? And that's actually probably the reaction that a lot of people wanted. I wish there was a bit more
that's what. Yeah,
exploration
I agree with
there. Yeah.
Like there was no doubt in the relationship with Hiro and 02. It was just like we're soulmates.
Exactly.
End of story.
But the
Yo,
thing is,
Ichigo's a
she's-
babe.
Yo, Ichigo's best girl, dude.
Dude,
I feel like
is
there was.
she?
I think she is.
She's cool. She's the
I think
leader.
it's a close tie between.
She's a strong
Goro is best
character.
girl.
Goro
Is
best girl.
truly best girl. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's face the fact. But okay, yeah, I totally agree. It's like there was so much potential there,
Yeah.
Right.
based on who Ichigo was to Hiro and everyone else. It's like you could have even added more complexity to the romance, where it's not just like the power of love, you know, between 02 and Hiro, but it was still like a very interesting few episodes where you get to see all that develop.
I'm looking at the pictures of all the girls right now, and it looks like they got every demographic of who you could be attracted to. But there's no
you're
fat
not-
girl.
That's
Why not?
true. They have Breadman, though. He counts as
Yeah.
the big boy.
Futoshi.
Futoshi, yeah.
Futoshi.
That's his name.
Oh, yo, guys, I hated Zorome. Oh my god, so annoying.
Which one's that?
The little dude who's
Boy
all like,
Asuka.
Papa's gonna help us, right?
Right.
I liked his episode when he goes into town and like,
That was cool. Yeah. But like other than that, yeah, when he had that conversation with that old woman,
Yeah.
that was
Right.
really interesting. But before that, and even after it, I was just like
supposed to be
so annoyed by him.
Right.
It's like Zorome and Miku are boy Asuka and girl Asuka.
I don't know what that means.
Evangelion.
but it's like
Right.
annoying kids though.
Oh yeah, it's like if you mix them together, they're the one character from Evangelion.
yeah.
That's exactly
like
what they
if you
are.
go to like a middle school or like go on.
Yeah, oh, I know
Fortnite,
he's necessary. I know he's needed.
You
I
need
know
the
there was always
hothead
that
little
annoying
piece of
kid.
shit.
Also,
Yeah.
if you mix Goro and Ichigo, you get
Ray.
Joe. Wait,
Oh, never mind.
you get Joe from season 1 of Digimon.
Oh,
Joe the Doctor.
you're right.
Nailed it. I'm
You
going
got
home.
it.
Wait,
Bye.
Ichigo and who?
Goro.
Goro. Okay, yeah, you definitely get.
Joe's the one who's
But
like always
Joe's a little bit
prepared,
more
right?
lame.
Sorry?
Joe's the one who's like always prepared.
He's like the
and shit.
seal.
He's
guy.
prepared and nervous a lot, I think.
Yeah.
He has glasses
Yeah, he does have glasses.
Right.
and blue hair.
I wish they.
Yes.
And blue hair.
Speaking of Digimon,
Yeah.
season 3. Do you remember when that girl goes crazy and she like gets the crazy D Reaper shit?
Is her name Izzy?
I think it's Izzy.
Yeah,
And her
go on.
like Leomon dies, her like pet.
Yeah, yeah.
best season. But I wish it was the best of Digimon. Right. But I wish they like did that for 02. Just had her like fucking go evil and just like just
like,
a
and never
crazy-
go
Yeah,
back to being
like,
good.
throw
again.
They'll go back
curveball, or-
eventually. Just be like,
Oh,
They kind of did have that for like a little
They
bit.
did.
A
It,
little
it
bit.
flip flopped a bit. But
too
see, that's the
short.
thing. Even like, yeah, because that's the thing. She dips after that whole episode when Ichigo's keeping them apart.
she was like tortured.
Yeah, she's got some real trauma.
She has
It's
some
like,
real reasons to like want to kill people.
and yeah, on top of her identity issues,
Yeah.
everyone else is facing identity issues as well. But like, she's got it doubly so because she's not human.
Yeah,
Right.
no one. She kills people
Yeah,
on the regular.
she's got like a stack of bodies to answer for. It's like,
Right.
and yeah, so she's escorted away, and then they're all separated, and then she goes crazy on her own.
Yeah.
In Zoids mode when she just
She
switches
does do that.
her what's it Strelitzia
Strelitzia.
into like her solo form, and she just goes nuts.
Yeah.
And then Ichigo has to cart Hiro to her and shove him into the cockpit, and then they make up, and everything works out
If she
fine.
killed like Nana or someone like that, that would have been sick.
Yo, yeah, right?
That would have been
Yeah.
like. That's hard to forgive. That's like
Yeah,
really,
that would have been interesting.
Like Nana
If they
or
pushed,
like
if they
even
pushed it a
Hachi.
little
Hachi
more.
is fucking disposable, dude.
Is Hachi the male
The
equivalent?
dude
of
Yeah.
who has no
Yeah.
emotions.
Right.
Yeah.
He literally says that in the final episode.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know that.
Which
till
I
the
didn't
final-
know. I didn't even notice that until the end.
Well, I think it's just
I
like,
don't have emotions.
it's safe to assume that all adults in this reality, or at least like quote unquote adults,
Yeah.
are
What happened to the adults?
so let's talk about the world.
okay. Do you want answers?
I want some answers.
you have the
No,
answers?
I
I
think
can give them to you.
Okay, so maybe you can help fill in the blank. So first off, we can say that it takes place in the future.
Like
and
hundreds of years in the future.
Yeah. So I think there's a flashback episode with Dr. Frank that kind of fills in the blanks that
Yeah.
humans, or we figure out how to become immortal.
Yeah, in
But-
2025, his genetic research is so sick that the people who discovered magma energy and fixed all the world's resource problems are like, yo, buddy, come work for us.
Yeah, and let's become immortal.
Well,
Oh yeah, so that's the first
yeah.
thing. So magma energy starts being used
Right.
as energy.
That's how they figure out
Because,
mortality.
and that's
Yeah.
the thing, it's by Ape, this secret clandestine
Yeah.
group of scientists, 2 or more of which actually aren't human.
Right.
Yeah.
I like how in the flashback,
They
I
all
like
have
how
monkey masks.
for the longest time before that flashback episodes, there were just like these like 5 people or whatever, and they were like sitting in these like chairs. I'm like, where are they?
Dude, that
and
is-
also, like, are they always sitting there?
That is
like
straight
after
up-
they're done talking about plans, they're like, so
Dude,
what are you
like-
guys going on this weekend?
It's like, yo, I gotta go to the bathroom. Like,
Yeah, or like when do they go to the bathroom? They're always sitting there. Is there a designated meeting, or is that what they do?
That's
what they do.
That whole thing is,
I want to see them shooting the shit.
I know, right?
Anyway, but I like
getting
that
drinks together?
in the flashback that they're just sitting at a regular table.
Yeah, they just have
Regular
a big desk. I was thinking about how
love
big
that.
their fucking office is. It's just empty and dark, and there's one table with 3 of them, and he's just standing in this dramatic light, like being interviewed by them.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what? So like when he leaves, we're like, so someone gonna get coffee or like,
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
that entire thing with Ape is like the equivalent of Seal or Sele
Yeah.
in Ava, which
Okay.
is where it's
I thought you were
just-
talking about the singer.
I mean him too, but no, because like in Ava, there's
No.
that was beautiful.
There's something we'd all join in.
I don't know any Seal songs.
There's only one
Kiss-
Seal song.
What?
Yeah.
Kiss from a Rose?
Oh, I know the one Seal. I know his entire
Rose?
discography.
Is it Kiss by a Rose? Kiss
Yeah,
from
Kiss
a Rose.
from a
From a Rose, one or the other. Careful now, you don't want to get copyright strike.
You guys are too good.
I think you have to know the lyrics to actually get copyright. Baby. All right, go on.
Anyways,
Kiss from a Rose.
so yeah,
Right.
the equivalent of Sele is like the massive obelisks that are faceless and are just like voice only. There's basically a clandestine organization in Ava that's sort of calling the shots behind the scenes. And
Do you think that was definitely that they were inspired by Ava? Like, was that
no
like a
question.
blatant?
Like,
yeah.
no question. I mean, it might not have been like it serves a purpose, but at the same time, the way they executed it was an obvious homage. Especially even in the way that it's like sound only sometimes when it's like when they're communicating with Nana or Hachi. And the thing is with Sele, every time they're communicating with Nerve, which is like the organization responsible for Ava's, it's like you see a screen that's like Sele, sound only, or yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me. I saw a comment on one of the episodes, and someone wrote something, I think, saying that the people who made this anime, or like the studio or something, they also made Ava and Code Geass or something like that. And then it said like,
They made Gurren Lagann, right? A1 did.
okay, shit.
Trigger, yeah.
Trigger.
I don't know. Okay, well, the comment was something about how, or what those three have in common. It's like
Right.
giant robots and trauma in childhood.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Anyway,
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, the director did work he got his start at Gainax.
Yeah.
So like it's no surprise there that we see
Right,
a lot of those parallels. But sorry, what was your question?
Back to the world. So that
Yeah,
we have
right.
they create the ability to become immortal, and more people become immortal.
right.
And then there's like a growing class gap because the people who have money can become immortal. I guess like everyone else just like dies.
And there's also a tax on having children, so
Right,
people
yeah,
have
that
less
was interesting,
incentive.
yeah.
Because of the overpopulation, because no one's dying.
Yeah.
So
yeah. See, all of that was just so interesting.
I thought that was
Yeah.
great. It all fits perfectly. And then
Oh,
yes.
sorry, they can't reproduce though. That's the cost of being
Yeah.
immortal.
Right, they lose their reproductive functioning, and then I guess we figure out as the show progresses, or at least as we see, or I think we see the immortal people before we're given this explanation. So certain things make sense in hindsight, where you're like, oh, so that's why they are reduced to like having to go in their pleasure box and then spend half an hour consuming pleasure, and it's like, okay,
Right.
pleasure received.
Yeah.
Time for sustenance. And it's like, okay, why? Because everyone's kind of evolved out of their need, because all of those needs come from like a reproductive origin. Like
Right.
humans are pleasure seekers for the sake of reproduction. So once that's factored out, it's just like that's where humanity ends up going, is being like these sort of brainwashed, emotionless, sexless beings.
So is the war with the Klaxosaurs, them consuming magma energy, that's the reason why they create children, right?
Well, yes,
Yeah.
because okay, so also the world starts becoming a desert because of the magma energy that they're harvesting
Right.
very slowly, and also at the same time, Klaxosaurs show up from the depths of the earth because the magma energy is being harvested. They're like, oh fuck, what do we do? Nuke it 3 times, doesn't work. Oh, we need more solutions. Dr. FRANXX is on the case. Starts developing his FRANXX robots. Uses his wife as a guinea pig. It all goes to shit.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Where did they
I
get that
wonder
idea?
which show that could have come from.
Chow Tucker and Nina all over again.
Yeah, and then he winds up studying a Klaxosaur corpse, finding out the way that it works, being part machine and part biological, and then uses that knowledge to develop the actual FRANXX.
I think
mechs.
part of that information came before his wife died, right? Because she wouldn't
Yeah.
have just died, and
No.
because it was also like you need to be able to reproduce to
Yeah.
pilot a FRANXX. So it must mean that
Right.
already came from a
like you-
Klaxosaur. Otherwise, it would have been completely mechanical, right? So reproductive,
Right, like you can't be a sexless immortal. You've got to have
Yeah.
functioning goods.
Yeah, I'm glad. I guess they developed a reason for all that, and because at the beginning I was like, why the fuck are these things even needing to be piloted
Yeah.
by 2 people,
By
boy and girl?
genitalia.
Like, is this just so we can see them in doggy style? Like, is this really?
I mean,
like, are
pretty
we to
much.
accept?
Well, yeah,
I know, but I'm saying, like, are they not going to even explain it? Are they just
Right.
going to say? And also, why are the robots actually become like they have like a human face and shit?
Right.
I was like, what?
They have like the face of the female, but
Yeah.
like what the man controls, like the body
Yeah.
actions. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
hard.
know.
It's like the man controls it, but the female is the one actually like taking like the attacks and stuff like that.
yeah, they actually say that in that episode where
They're
they're
like,
like,
oh, don't push your partner too hard. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're the ones getting hit.
yeah, we should
Right.
control. And
Controlling
like
it.
the episode, I think, which is like fan service, where they like see the girls naked.
The
or
beach
something,
episode, yeah.
Right.
and all that shit. And I guess they're at the end, they're like, oh, we should be respectful because like they take the brunt of the
Oh,
damage
yeah.
when we fight in the FRANXX. Like we have to keep them safe because we pilot them.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what's fucking jokes?
What?
When in like the second last episode, Hero's piloting with another dude.
Oh my god. Yo.
Not that there's anything wrong.
No,
with that.
totally not at all.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just,
just-
intensely funny to see out of nowhere. Like nobody prepped us for that scene.
Right. Yeah.
And there's no explanation for that too. I was kind of hoping that they would like talk more about the Nines, but they just like
Yeah, they
Oh,
just
they're
kind of
just
said like, by the way, the
clones.
Nines are clones.
clones.
Also, the Nines are
Question
sick.
and
They all
answer.
have like light-colored pastel hair. They all dress
They
in
look
white.
great.
Yeah.
They're like the prettiest boys of pretty boys.
Backstreet Boys of the show. I guess.
Yeah, but
They have
prettier
anything
than
that
that.
they're
pretty,
Prettier than
yeah.
that.
Right.
In sync.
All of them are prettier than the ugliest Backstreet Boy, for sure.
Yes.
Which
They're
is
just like
definitely
cool
Howie?
kids.
No,
I don't remember their names. Yeah.
I don't know either. I think Howie's one, or is that insane?
Yeah, but going back, I definitely agree for sure. I like the explanation of why the robots
Yeah.
actually like needed to have two people in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
it's like
glad that
on-
they actually did something.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
cool.
But at the end of the day, the explanation, even though there is one, it's kind of like, oh, it's because a civilization greater than us thought of a way to do this, so we're just copying them. Just so happens that they have two people fucking in the cockpit.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that whole thing was like a little muddled to me as well. So there were Klaxosapiens,
Yeah.
and I think the Klaxosapiens created the Klaxosaurs to pilot them, and then the Klaxosaurs are made up of two Klaxosapiens, a male and a female, I think.
So, like,
Yeah.
timeline-wise, they're at one point on Earth, like, apparently 60 million years ago, so, like, dinosaur times, there was an advanced civilization, which were the Klaxosapiens,
blue
who were
people.
all blue people.
Smurfs.
Yeah. Smurfs. They're all Smurfs.
Avatar.
Smurfs.
But then,
Also, go on.
what are the purple aliens called? Verm. Verm
Which
shows
is
up.
the worst part of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it all went downhill
That's
to me.
where I was like-
Anyway, go on. We'll get to that, but tell us more about the history.
So they show up. They fight. Klaxosaurs. They fight them off, but then they also get fucked. So they go underground, and then at this point they divide into two different variants of their species, where it's like the people who can't really survive in that weird hibernation state just turn into energy, which is what the magma energy is. And then
Is that what magma energy is?
yeah,
So at the beginning, when they said magma energy, I thought they were talking about
like lava.
Yeah, like what lava is. Once
No,
yeah,
it's like-
This is a metaphor for dinosaurs being turned into oil.
Oil.
over millions of years.
yeah.
more or less.
Extracting the oil
Yeah.
and destroying the
Organic
world,
beings,
and then
yeah.
Elon Musk having to save it by putting children in Teslas and driving them into the center of the earth.
Oh my god!
I'd watch that.
You just put a hit on all of our heads, dude.
You don't have to watch it, Dylan. It's gonna be you. You're gonna be in that Tesla.
Oh man. But yeah, that's what their explanation was. But yeah, when it comes to the Klaxosaurs, they were piloted originally by the sapiens, the people.
Yeah.
But when they went underground, I guess they just sort of got sucked into their being and just became cores or whatever.
Dragon Balls.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right.
And then the Klaxosaurs lost their intelligence
Because they were just basically just eating the magma, and so they were surviving. So they didn't need
Yeah.
to think of anything. So they just slowly became.
yeah.
So
and
is that supposed to explain why they can't like get out of the Klaxosaurs and be like, "Hey, wait, stop fighting"?
I'm a
us.
person. I'm fighting for Earth.
I'm alive,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And the queen is the only sentient,
Princess.
or princess.
Yeah.
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 She's the one, sort of, telling them what to do, or like at least directing them to some degree. But
She's the last sapien.
yeah,
Klaxosaur.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
So even
That's what that is.
her introduction was cool, and like
Yeah.
the fact that it seemed they were working their way towards that. Like you're aware that 02 isn't human,
Right.
and you're like, is she like she has something to do with the Klaxosaurs? And then we get that she is actually a clone of the princess.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
I thought it was-
interesting.
Yeah. As soon as she came into the picture, like the princess,
I mean, she
I was
looked
kind of like,
02,
I was like, yeah, okay, so that's where 02 comes from. Also, because we have the previous knowledge that Dr. FRANXX has like a degree in cloning, so
Right.
it's
He has
like,
a
oh,
degree
Also,
in
she's
everything.
02, so we're 01, right?
scientist.
right, Yeah, so she is 01,
Yeah.
the princess.
I wish they
Right.
explained the numbers more. I was like thinking there'd be so like a big twist where they're like all clones, like the adults have like versions of themselves as children. Like
Oh, yeah.
That would have been cool, especially because there's that great episode where they see the unused rooms in their houses, and they see there's like an entire different group of kids.
Yeah.
Like, that was cool.
That was
I want
very
to see
cool.
more about that.
Yeah.
That was sick. Like, they were like freaked out initially, and then in the end they just like, replaced the lilacs, and they're like, all right, well, let's replace the lilacs in the room. And
Here's what I got from that whole thing. It's like that entire thing where there's introducing like previous generations of pilots and stuff like that. It's kind of the whole thing is just like a big symbol of how disposable the children are. It's like they're bred en masse in a facility for the sake of being meat shields for ape and their colonies of humans. But really, it isn't even like about the humans anymore because they don't have any free will or thought or anything. So it leads you to think about like what is really going on here. It's like for whose sake is ape here? And then it's like, they're here to harvest resources. You find that out later with the alien shit, which we'll get into. But with the whole like replacing flowers thing, it's like I thought it was really cool because I feel like the show makes a lot of statements about mindfulness and about being present and like enjoying what you have in the moment that you have it, because when they realize how disposable they are, even though Squad 13, it's 13, right? They're 13. Even though they're like a test group or like a special group where they're given sort of the freedom to be humans, more or less, at least just because of Dr. FRANXX, not even that ape knows about how special they are. Even then, it's like, they can die. And like none of them are actually ever going to reach adulthood. None of them are going to have fulfilling lives. And when they see the reality of that in the fact that people just like them were there who knows how long ago and are all dead now, it's kind of like a reality check.
yeah, so I liked that and I agree with everything you're saying, and that's why I would have liked to have seen them explore that more. Like, they weren't angry. Like, I would have liked to have seen them confront Papa or something. That just shows them that they were bred to fight and then die, and then they'll be replaced, right? So, like, they're now, I guess, seemingly aware of the cycle. And so, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen them
definitely, like,
say
that's what-
something about that more.
When like Darling the Franks is good is like when it's grounded in like a sense of reality where they're able to explain things. Like where I think it really goes wrong is like the episode like 20 or 21. Whenever the Verm get like
When they show up.
literally the show goes to shit because it's just like they just like basically were trying to bust their nut like as soon as possible and just like how do we save the universe like as quickly as possible when it was like a very localized story about these kids, and then they're like, we're saving the universe now.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I think that wrecked the show for me.
Yeah.
The whole Verm thing, so let's talk about it now.
Hit me with all your Verm hate, and then I'll champion it.
Okay, I just gotta say, like, first off, what?
Yeah.
That's my question. Why?
There's
What?
like purple people coming from the sky, and you're just like, what is going on?
we had what seems to be like all the material needed for a good story, and then they're just like, here's some aliens.
Aliens.
My
And then
first
they're like,
note after watching episode 20 is just, what the
yeah.
fuck was that?
Okay. Similarly, one of my last notes was just, what the hell is going on, in all capitals. Because what? Like, dude, I don't know. Like, I don't even understand. I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
It feels like we got, with the flashback episode to Dr. FRANXX, of Dr. FRANXX's story, we got some really satisfying world building and history, and it made everything that we had already learned way more enriched, and it felt really good, and it felt like, okay, so we're going into this battle with the Klaxosaurs, and I didn't actually mind that in the end they kind of sympathized with the Klaxosaurs. Like, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like we still could have got there a different way, but it just felt like it came out of nowhere. They're in this battle with the Klaxosaurs, and then Papa is like, I'm actually an alien.
Yeah.
And then, like, some of the other controller dudes who are at that table just, like, die. And then what?
It's like fucking.
And then so they're like, all right, now we got to fight the aliens. So I don't know, Brendan.
I feel like
I can't. I'm not making sense anymore.
what, like, we shouldn't be asking what, and we shouldn't be asking why. We should be asking, like, why would you do this? Like, I know what happened in the show and I know why, but why would the creators do this?
It just took
It's just
away.
so, yeah, like, why?
It just felt very tonally different. Where it's just like it's about these kids and their like journeys and like having these relationship problems, and then aliens come.
Yeah, you know what? It's weird because there's no tease of it earlier in the show. It's not like is
There's
there
a little-
okay.
there's
I'll get into
Okay,
it, but talk.
But
Tell me.
Okay, well, there's no thing that makes me think like something else is going on here, or like, oh, that was interesting. And then sometimes in movies, like you see something early in the movie, and you're like, that was interesting, and you kind of forget about it,
Right.
And like later they bring it back.
Right.
That's not what the aliens felt like. What this felt like was when a show's not doing well and they introduce a new character
Like it's
to
jumping the
spice
shark
things
almost?
up.
Yeah.
Right.
I get how you guys are feeling.
Yeah, that's what it felt
It definitely
like. to
felt
me.
like they were jumping the shark. Like they could have easily had another season or two to like develop into something, or at least go into more about the Klaxosaurs and like. I'd rather like if they didn't have Verm, I'd be much happier, and they just like had like the Klaxosaurs were actually good, and they were actually gonna like fight Ape in some weird way.
Right.
Yeah, or even if they did have Verm, I would have rather seen that eased into.
Yeah.
Maybe that
Yeah.
could have been something. If they wanted to do a second season, then that could have been something for the second season. Tease at the end of the first season, like there's something more going on here. Something more than they thought. But it just seemed to come out of nowhere. So
Okay.
I found it hard to
And
process.
it wasn't
That is fair.
it wasn't compelling either. Like the Verm were just like
Yeah.
everyone. They're just like the opposite of individuality. Just like
Right.
it was just like I thought they could have done that, presented that better than them falling out of the sky.
Right. I do agree that it was a little bit jarring to a degree, but okay, so hear me out on this. So during the entire course of the show, like when it starts off, you're just putting these questions in the back of your head. You're like, okay, the world's a desert. Everyone lives in these weird dome-shaped colonies. Why? I'll figure it out later. You're not thinking about it. It lulls you into the sort of sense of security where you're like, okay, I can invest myself in characters. I can focus on what's going on in the small scale. And it trickles you information every now and again. And you're like, okay, so there is something bigger going on here, but I guess we'll find out by the end. Now, here's where I didn't think it was that much of a drop, because the entire time, like I was talking about before, like I was thinking about motivations, and I was like, why? Like if Papa and Ape are all human beings, why are they so bent on like human survival? What is their end goal here? It just seems like they're trying to get something out of the Earth, and when they eventually make their mission, Zeratu's found her partner, we're gonna get her to this pit so she can get to the thing. It's like, oh, okay, so they're trying to pull something out of the Earth. It's like, why? What is instrumental about that? Oh, maybe to help fight the Klaxosaurs. Okay, you put it out of your mind again. The show keeps going. And then you get the backstory of Dr. FRANXX, and then also sort of the backstory of how Ape came into power. And then you start thinking, you're like, wait, so like these guys showed up out of nowhere. They don't have any nationality. They don't have any stake in anything. And then they just happen to have this knowledge of like deep earth drilling, and they introduce this technology to the world that fixes all of our problems. And then they work their way into government, and they slowly sort of like eke control away from the people. And you're like, it just seems like a foreign body. And I'm like, the entire time I was like, these people can't be human. And then as soon as they have their encounter with the Klaxosaur princess, when she kills them, she kicks away one of their masks, and she's like, yeah, human imposter. And I'm like, okay, so they're not of this Earth. They're obviously like a different party altogether. So when it becomes clear what their plan is, that they they came to Earth because they want to extract this weapon that belongs to the Klaxosaur race, and then add that to their arsenal. It's like you start to realize that the entire thing that we've been watching, once the greater plot of the entire show is revealed, you realize how insignificant the characters are in sort of the scale of things, or at least how powerless they are in this entire struggle that's happening. And I thought that was super compelling, because the entire time in the show you're following them and you're like, oh, they're so powerless because they've been indoctrinated into the system where like everything is controlled, everything is mitigated, all of their peers, all of the adults, everything they work for, it's controlled, it's regulated. They don't have a say in like anything. There's no autonomy. And then you realize that like once you understand what they're actually fighting for and how useless it is and how actually self-destructive it is, because they're aiding foreign bodies and destroying their own planet, and they don't even realize it to the last second, you realize it's kind of like the weight of all of that, like how useless and insignificant they actually are. It just comes crashing down. It's like, wow, they're caught in between this massive struggle between these two infinitely more powerful bodies of beings, and they're just stuck in the middle trying to figure out themselves in the midst of it all. And I was like, wow, this is a compelling struggle. I think this is cool.
Yeah, but then the answer is love, though. Like, then...
I know, it is kind of a cop-out. At the end of the day, that's true. But I thought the conflict itself was good. I don't think the resolution was any less of a anime Deus Ex Machina as I would expect from something like this.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But
so you mentioned... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, yeah, I just thought it wasn't as like random and unnecessary. You know? I thought it added to the show.
This is just making me question like what I like about the show. Like besides the art style, I'm like, oh my god, I almost just dropped my phone. I don't care about Hero and Zero Two.
Yeah,
it's just a non-compelling relationship that sucks, and it's the focus of the end of the show, which is awful.
Right.
I don't care about these aliens, just any of them.
Yeah,
but I do care about the kids and them finding out like how they fit together and their weird like sexual relationships and them finding out like what an adult is and how do you become one. Like that stuff's all interesting.
Like, what's the point of being alive?
But the two bigger anchors of the story are dumb.
Fair.
So I want to say that you mentioned the body, the ape, they seem to be otherworldly, but the thing is only two of them are. The other ones are humans.
Because they...
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, that's the thing. It's not even like they're serving, like, this greater purpose. Like, 3 humans are like, we're doing sick stuff. Right? Like, they think... See, they don't know anything about the aliens. Like, they get betrayed,
Yeah, of course. Because they get assimilated into their hive mind with the rest of the immortal people, more or less.
Yeah.
That'd be sick if we could hear what they thought.
Yeah.
Instead of just, like, them dying, it'd be cool if, like, one of them, like, ran away and it's just like, I fucked up, guys.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
In my mind, their whole motivation is because they think they're saving humanity from Klaxosaurs. Like, the Klaxosaurs are a real menace, and without ape and all this technology and their whole structure of things, we're going to get wiped out. So we need to find this weapon so that we can end the war once and for all. They were probably of the same mind as like Hero and Zero Two at the end of the show, where they're like, once we do this, we're done, right? Like, we win the war and that's it, right? They were probably thinking the same thing, but then they just got
but it's like interesting because like they've been around this whole time too, since like the early 2000s. Like they became a group,
right?
You know what I mean? So it's like it's weird. It's also strange to think about the fact that these aliens infiltrated like that early, like a couple hundred years ago, like the ape organization.
It's like the homunculi,
and then they're like, part of the government. Like, we're gonna do it one of these days. We'll bring our aliens back. And so then the aliens just showing up, though, it did still... I get what you're saying does make sense, but it still felt like it wasn't teased enough that, like, it wasn't a twist. It just seemed to come out of left field. It's not like a twist where you're like, oh, that makes sense, they're aliens. You're like, what? There are aliens in this show?
I feel like I saw the signs early enough that it didn't feel that jarring to me, where it just felt like a twist, and I was like, oh, okay.
But why did they have to take it up to, like, 11, where they're, like... it could be like sick. There's aliens, but like, why do they have to save the universe all of a sudden in
Right.
2 episodes?
Yeah.
Right.
It was just like, you could have just like, oh, there's aliens. They're fucking shit up. Like they're just messing around. They're just like, they want
These
to
rascals.
These rascals. Ah. You could have kept it smaller without having to like.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
say
like a really big
a
story to put
giant
into like.
woman into
Right.
space.
I mean, right, but also it gives them an excuse to animate a giant woman. in
Also, yeah, like,
space.
yeah,
Lady.
what is that? Yeah, Mount Lady. what is that mode called when 02 and Hero become the giant lady mech with boobs?
Strelitzia apis,
I think so. Yeah.
something like
So,
that.
yeah, that-
Apis.
Yeah. So she's boobs and like a real woman face now, like
And then
not just a
there's-
fake
true
face.
apis.
That's
That's the
second
second.
mode.
Oh,
that's the
okay,
second
yeah.
form, yeah.
And it's fucking gigantic because you see the other FRANXX beside it, and it's like they're like the size of its face.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the
huge.
ultimate weapon. But here's the thing. So we see a glimpse of that when they first get to the Grand Crevasse or whatever, in the form of the giant baby hand that comes out and smacks down and just trashes half of their colony. Do you not remember this?
That was
Dylan is looking at me like
Dylan's
he
eyes
doesn't
have
remember
never
this at
been
all.
wider.
I don't remember this, Dylan. I don't. Not at all.
What?
Not one bit.
that was like the best.
Yeah, the giant black hand just comes out of
I
the
never even
earth.
thought
It's-
about that.
It's like a. It's
Was that
it's-
early? Was that really early?
No, it's. I mean,
That's
it's
when
at
they
the,
get Grand Crevasse.
Okay, do you remember that the first time like the mountain-sized Klaxosaur shows up and it sticks its head inside Colony 13 and then 02 and Hero make up and then they blow through it and it explodes?
Yeah. Yeah.
With the power of love.
Yeah, with the power of love. When that happens, immediately after, a giant hand comes out of the hole that they've been trying to secure and slaps the ground and drags away half of their colony.
Oh yeah. Right.
So that is, I don't even remember the name of it, but the ultimate weapon.
The blue stuff.
So
Yeah.
are they piloting the ultimate weapon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but here's the
they
thing.
put Strelitzia in the ultimate
Yeah,
weapon.
so it
Yeah.
took the form of Strelitzia because they entered it with Strelitzia.
And those are all just like
Ooh.
dead Klaxus.
Yeah. It's just
People.
like a bunch of Klaxosaurs mashed together.
So
Yes.
that whole thing confused me also because we had the princess of the Klaxosaurs piloting it with Hero. Was
Yeah.
that the weapon?
Yes.
And
yeah.
then 02 comes and then they pilot it. And I guess they win. And then the next episode, 02 is back. They're all back on Earth. And then he's just like, but you're still fighting up there? How did that happen? What? Her mind is still in, like, Strelitzia?
Of course, Dylan.
Yeah.
And that whole thing is in space. How did they get down to Earth?
What?
Because like in the previous episode, they're in like the
Well,
ship thing, and they like
fire
fight.
a beam off, and then after that they get out of the thing,
Yeah.
but it's still active because 02 is still in it. Then we see all of it float up into space.
She's mentally in it.
Right? Yeah. So like that's what confused me. Like I remember
Yeah.
seeing it float up, but like they were out of it at that point, like physically.
Yeah.
Right.
So I didn't know that 02 can just put her mind into
She
space.
was, no, her mind was always in it. When she
Yeah.
left it, she was like kind of like brain dead.
as soon as she
her mind was always in what?
It's
the machine.
Apis, the.
But I'm saying it wasn't when she first entered, so she walked into it for
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
time with her mind.
And when
No,
it activated,
But do you remember she attached her horns to the purple fuckery that was going on?
yeah,
Oh.
And then the princess gave her all of her energy because they horn fucked.
yeah, it was
so
orgy.
02 is her horns.
Well,
Her mind.
she connected to the
So they
machine.
broke off the horns and they took her out.
Super
Okay,
complicated. He's
here's-
just like
Yo,
went
so
inside the robot.
we've already established that there's some fuckery going on with who's experiencing what between the two pilots in any given FRANXX.
Yeah,
Right?
Right.
So we can assume that that also applies here, where it's like someone's got robot control and someone's got, like, I don't know, like the feeling of doing things and taking the damage and shit.
Yeah.
So in that case, it was 02 who was embodying the robot, and Heroes at the controls telling her
Right.
what to do.
You
So
know,
why
like
did it all fly off at the end, though?
Well,
Because they have to fight the worm.
Yeah.
You know when you're watching a show that's not in English and you can choose like the subtitles that show you what other people are saying so you can understand them, or you can choose subtitles that show you what like the signs in the rooms are saying so you understand what the signage in the shows are saying. I need like a third option that tells you what the dumb shit is that's happening. Like, oh, her brain is flowing through her horns now. Like that would have been a really nice subtitle to know.
That was
great.
really confusing.
It was supposed to be a little confusing because even Hero doesn't know.
Yeah.
Right,
It's just
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, where'd you
like-
fucking go?
Yeah, he's just like, oh, my girlfriend got real dumb.
Yeah, that's okay, that's true. But I guess when he said like you're still up there fighting, I was like, how?
Yeah, like how do you know that?
Like I was cool that he figured it out, and it was like, okay, yeah, we were all confused about that.
Yeah.
Hero
Yeah.
himself too, but I wanted there to be an explanation. I guess it is what you're saying.
Well,
like she put her horns out.
It's also like at the very end of the show when the little baby girl says like, "Darling,"
Yeah,
and you're like,
Word.
"Excuse me."
I guess because she said that, we all have to hold hands.
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
send our energy.
Power. Yo, it's a
Lend me
spirit
your
bomb,
energy.
dude.
Oh,
that didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
No.
that
She
was just
heard them saying "darling" and she learned that word, and they're like, she shouldn't know that word.
right. That was the cornball power of love
Yeah.
anime ending.
We've
But-
never said the word "darling" around this statue, and we talk about Hero and Zero Two every single day for 8 years. We've never said "darling."
Yeah,
Of course
no
they
way the
haven't.
child
Yeah.
could pick up
Yeah.
on that.
And it also seems stupid that they've been fighting all this time, and then just randomly Hero falls asleep, and then they use the power of love to wake him up, and then he's like, "All right, I can keep fighting now."
Also,
Right.
like, tell me,
Like, what was draining him?
like
It
a
would have been
lot
nice
of
to see
fucking
like
time.
fights through the years, and he was slowly losing power. or
this man
something.
hasn't eaten in 8 years or
Right.
3 years.
Or
at
He
that
doesn't
point.
need to shit. I was thinking about that.
Well, I guess he doesn't need to shit
Yeah,
if
yeah.
he hasn't eaten.
He has tubes in
Also,
him.
okay, it's just so stupid. I can understand that time moving 8 years for whatever the people on Earth is fine, whatever.
Right.
But for Hero, it doesn't make any sense. Like, they go into, like, a vortex or, like, a black hole, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Shouldn't, like, time have been, like, not moving at all? Shouldn't they have just been, like, moving for 8
Interstellar.
years? Yeah, like some
Yeah.
interstellar
Yeah.
weirdness where, like, if to them it only feels like 10 minutes of this journey and not 8 fucking years of moving in a straight line.
Maybe to them it didn't feel like 8 years. Maybe it's just like Earth.
Maybe
time,
it did.
8 years. And they're just in this
I guess
zone
there
where
would have been no way to show that.
But when the episode starts and it says 70 days later, and I
Right.
started laughing, and like I think you looked at me, you thought like I didn't understand what was happening. I knew
Right.
exactly what was happening.
Right.
Like, this is stupid as shit. So it says 70 days later, and the first thing Hero says is, "Oh, it's been so many days." I'm like, oh my god, this show's jumped the shark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so silly.
With that last episode, the whole time, I was just like, I did not care about Hero and Zero Two.
Right.
They were part of the episode,
Not at all.
but I was like super excited to see the kids being like adults and like getting
Yeah.
their shit
Yeah,
together.
like what happens on Earth is
Yeah,
way
way
more.
more.
What happens on Earth
Right.
stays on Earth.
I thought that's what
I
Brian
don't
was
give a
going to say.
fuck. Anyway,
That
shout out Kendrick Lamar.
That makes me think of the last episode of Digimon Season 2 when all the kids age up and they're in like a family photo together. You get to see
Right.
that. It's like
Yeah.
the sign off of. Yeah, it's very cool.
So that was cool, right? Seeing the them grow into adults, but just like everything that Hero and Zero Two are doing, we're just gonna keep fighting the aliens.
Yeah.
And then do
Yeah.
they win at the end? Is that what happened? And then they
Yeah, well,
just dissolve?
I guess they blow up the home planet of what are they?
Verm.
So they release all of the
people.
organisms they've hive minded
Spirits.
over the years,
Right.
and
then
all
they
of their
take,
souls go back to wherever the fuck they came from.
And they take hundreds of years to float back to Earth. Because like it shows
yeah.
that like tree getting bigger and bigger in the background.
Right,
No.
it's like thousands of
No, not hundreds of years. They float
Thousands.
back, I think, like, oh yeah, thousands. I think they float back really fast, but it takes like hundreds of years for them
Oh.
to show up as kids again.
right.
Because like once they die, like explode through the thing, I think the lives like immediately start floating back. Like Hero and Zero Two float back really fast.
Dylan's right though.
Oh,
I think
yeah?
It's like it's just like it takes them a while to get back to Earth because
Yeah.
Right.
And the whole
Anime.
time,
And then
yeah.
so what is that? They're like spirit being reborn?
Yeah, they've
It's-
been
is
like
it-
reincarnated.
like reincarnated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they
I guess
look
so.
the same?
Well, yeah, which is
Yeah,
kind of
they look the same.
Yeah. Give me a black character.
I was
Yeah.
expecting Ichigo's child to be Hero.
Oh, that would be
Because like
sick.
she's pregnant and then he like he
cool.
dies and then she like pops it out and
He's like,
Child.
I would have
seen
hated
you
that.
Dylan, is it any better or worse than what you saw?
Oh god.
So silly. So I just want to bring up something from one of my immediate thoughts from watching the show in the first episode.
Yeah.
You know when you go into a show and it has like a weird or interesting name like Darling in the Franxx, and you're like, ooh, what is that? What if it's meaningless? What could it be?
Right.
By the end of the first episode, it was like, I know exactly what Darling in the Franxx means, and it's a letdown.
It's that guy in that thing.
Yeah.
Darling is in the Franxx.
That man is in there, and it's boring. Like, the interesting title became immediately boring.
Nice. Yeah. I thought it was like some
That's
hectic
true.
English. I was like, what could this be?
Yeah.
It was even funnier actually, like hearing people refer to it as like Darling in the FRANXX. It's like,
Oh, yeah,
what do
that's
you
dope.
mean, dude? What does this mean?
Yeah.
Also, that there's just a doctor named Dr. FRANXX.
Right.
That also felt like a letdown.
Yeah.
Dr.
Dr.
Frank,
FRANXX.
who then became Dr. FRANXX.
Yeah.
Dr. FRANXX is entirely Metal Gear. He's just Raiden for Metal
Right.
Gear. His lower jaw
the
doesn't even move.
circle
because,
gear and everything.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I thought it was cool. I was like, why
Also,
does this look so cool?
What
It's
a
like, oh,
bitch. He just
Raiden.
like some girl he never even dated. He just grabs her jeans and attaches them to his arm, hoping that he can become her race.
I was like expecting more like weird shit from that. I was like, oh, like maybe 02 is like his like wife or like
Oh, like a clone?
it could be like some weird clone stuff like. Or like I was expecting his DNA plus the Klaxosor princess, so
Just
that'd be
go
like his
full
child.
Ava. Yeah.
I was expecting full Ava. They
Also,
never went full Ava.
Like,
That's
Yeah.
that reveal is the lamest thing when he like takes off his jacket and he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, by the way, I have this in my arm. I wanted to.
I knew there was gonna be some bullshit Deus Ex Machina because
Yeah.
as soon as 02's like pulling the fucking life support out of her arms, like
Yeah.
just limping to the gate, like, okay, I'm gonna go do it. It's like, okay, how are you gonna get in? He's like, don't worry, I'll go with her. It's like,
Yeah.
how are you gonna get her in? Oh wait, there's gonna be some bullshit with your arm.
Yeah.
Gets there, whoosh, my arm.
Yeah.
Shoves it in. It's like, okay, like thanks,
Yeah.
thanks, dude. Good to know you're useful for something besides
Yeah.
fucking the earth up.
I just like his character though. Like I liked
It was
his whole
cool.
thing with his like wife. Like I like the scene when they're in the restaurant and they're like, and he just has no fucking clue, and he's just
Yeah,
like,
that was funny.
Right.
it was like a nice.
Right. Yeah.
He's just like this like guy who's just like so set in his like research that he doesn't actually bother to think about the consequences of like any of his actions.
Right.
Yeah.
He's just like, I want to see where humanity will go if we push it all the way.
It's a total Jurassic Park scenario.
Yeah. And then when it fucks up and he finds a more interesting organism, that becomes his muse.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Right.
you know what? Fuck humans. I want to know what makes that thing
Yeah.
tick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish they went more weird with him actually. Like
I mean,
That backstory episode of him was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like it was the true send off to the series because after that it was just a bunch of weird
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, the backstory was
Definitely.
pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So
Kind
wait,
of like in spoilers for Lost, season 6 of Lost, the episode about Richard Alpert. Do you remember that? The
Oh,
guy
yeah.
who doesn't age on the island,
Right.
Who's always been an advisor.
Yeah, it's a guy liner.
yeah, he has like permanent.
They have like a
He's
that's
from
true.
Egypt.
Yeah.
That's his
Right.
thing,
But I'm
right?
saying
It's
like they have like a whole backstory about him and like how he got to the island, and it like
It's very cool.
it's
Yeah.
very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that episode reminded me kind of that.
See,
Yeah.
it's like when it always kind of it plays out the same way whenever there's some sort of magic force at play where you just kind of have to be like, why is this happening? Oh yeah, magic force. It's like the
Right.
same deal in Lost, same
Yeah.
deal in countless other shows. But I feel like, I mean, so like, wait, did I sell you guys at all with the them being stuck in the middle of this greater thing? Because that sold me.
I like the sentiment,
The point where
but
I
don't
hate it.
think that the show did it well.
No.
So like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brendan, if you could have been in the writers' room for the last like 4 episodes,
Yeah.
or no, more than the last 4 episodes, because I would have liked to have seen that eased in, not just surprised
Right.
in.
Like
Yeah.
you expertly explained why you like the show, and that's good because now I understand.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, they should have explained that to me.
Execution.
Yeah,
Yes,
they
okay,
didn't
here's
do
the thing.
anything.
Yeah.
They didn't
I
do
had
it.
to do a lot of work
Yeah.
to get
You
to
had
And
to,
you,
like,
you know me,
figure
I don't
this
like to
out.
do any work
Yeah.
when I'm
Right.
watching a show.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, right.
Yeah. There needs to be no outside text that I need to absorb. All of it needs to be on the screen.
I feel like this just factors into my taste in anime
Right.
because I love Ava, and Ava is all just you having to figure it
There's
out.
no answers, which I think is great about it. Like I think Like,
Right,
I think of, like, Final Fantasy VII is like that, where it doesn't give you any fucking answers, and you're just like, what is going on?
Genova?
Yeah.
What?
You don't get, it's like, it's nice because it feels like you can always want more from it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But I do also really appreciate that they explained a lot of this.
But like, I think it's just like a write-off if you say that like this is a genre of thing to like, and that you like the style of it, because like there's a way to do it right. There's a fine
that's
line.
true. That's so
And
true.
my argument is that they did not do it right.
Yeah.
But like, obviously, like people are different. Like the line was right to you.
Well, even to a degree, I would say that I feel like, you know, they weren't so mysterious that you can look at this and be like, this is a postmodern work of art.
Right.
Like, you can look at Ava and go, this is a piece of art. Facts.
Right.
Like, no matter how you slice it, whether you love it or hate it, this is art. I don't think you can look at Darling and be like, this is art.
Unless you're talking about just visually.
Visually, it's fucking
Also,
art. as
I have
hell.
another point to add on to the visual thing.
Yeah.
So I love that the show will use this like next effect, and it'll use it very effectively. Just switching the aspect ratio to being like 19
Yeah.
by 6. Or sorry,
CinemaScope, yeah.
9 by 16.
So 16 by 9, which is, you know, standard widescreen TV.
Yeah.
And
So
then
cool.
it goes into a CinemaScope ratio, which is about 2.39 to 1.
yeah,
ratio.
but then it'll also go like a portrait.
Yeah.
And then it'll also go like portrait, but not in the middle of the screen, like to the
Collage,
side.
yeah.
And it'll like collage things up.
It
It's
started
really
to do
cool.
that in the last few episodes more, like
With the
cin-
flashbacks and-
the CinemaScope ratio was throughout, but
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing like the squares and portraits and different slices of the TV. I don't remember seeing that until like the last like.
That's interesting that
The
you
last,
only
like,
noticed it
6
at the end.
episodes,
I
yeah.
can confirm that it's like almost all the way through.
Yeah.
Maybe I just wasn't thinking about it because obviously I noticed the CinemaScope from the beginning,
Right.
and initially I was like, "Is this only in scenes with Zero Two and Hero?"
Right.
It seems like
a
that, yeah.
cutscene,
But
kind of.
And I actually made that note toward the end. I was like, "Wait, are they only doing it there?" But there actually are scenes without them in it where they do it.
Okay.
That would have been an interesting choice.
I thought that was really cool. I wasn't a huge fan of the unnecessary subtitle, like where they just throw text on top of a scene that's happening, where it's not the actual subtitle. It's usually written in Japanese, but also there's an English thing going on at the same time, where it's literally just an echo of something someone just said, where it's like, we're two different people, and then it'll be like, we're two different people in Japanese.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I
I was like,
vaguely remember that.
I wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't say, and it only happened whenever the aspect ratio started going all over the place.
Well, I did like those choices. Especially when they did do like portrait or squares or pieces of the screen just like taken up. I think one time they actually had a conversation between two characters, and so it was like a single shot on each of them. And in the actual space, you know, if you were in the world, they were looking at each other, but they actually flipped them. So on screen, it looked like they were looking
Yes.
away from each other.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And that was really cool. I wish I had taken a screenshot of that because I liked the idea of what they were doing there.
Right.
Did you have anything else to say about the visual aesthetic? Because I want to bring up a quote that I liked.
No, you should go ahead.
So in episode 15, actually, I also want. So I was just like looking through my notes because sometimes I write down quotes to bring up to you guys. So I was gonna read a quote, but I just noticed that in episode 15, my last two notes. So one is Hero and 02 merge again and kill the big Klaxosaur, and then my last note is a massive hand. So I guess so that happened in episode.
It looked
15.
like one of the hands from the gate in Full Metal.
Okay.
Were like
Yeah, it was,
little,
like,
little
black.
wiggly little hands that only have like 4 fingers. I think this had
Weird.
5, but they're all very rounded and baby-like. And I was like, why couldn't you have just made a big badass hand?
Yeah.
I like the bread man hand. It's like, yo boy.
Just woohoo, just out of the pit.
So in episode 6, I took a note that says this show is really good at showing you the perfect pussy shot.
Oh,
Which is just like the proper angle to see like between the girl's legs
Right.
at her junk.
they
It's just like the
Wait,
oddest.
what?
Dylan,
the
do you not notice?
they go
Although
out,
they go
about?
out of their way to point like right at the girl's genitalia.
It's not
like
even
when
like
the
they're
shot
paired.
almost at all times.
Yeah, like it's like her ass.
It's
yeah,
never
okay,
it's
yeah,
not,
sorry.
Yeah.
It's never masked between the booty cheeks. It's just
No.
like, here is the anatomy.
We know what
Here
you're
it
here
is.
for.
We're putting it right in your face.
Yeah.
It's important. It's what powers the whole
Machine,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're teaching kids about love.
but not really because they never taught them the word for love.
Yeah.
No, I mean kids
Oh, the
watching
show.
it.
Okay, yeah, right.
Oh yeah.
so-
Any child figuring out their sexuality via the show, I feel
Yeah, actually,
so bad
That's
for
interesting because in the show, they don't want people to know about love or like sex or reproduction, and yet they're positioning them in the way to just like.
You think they'd get a clue? They'd be like, "Huh, my junk feels funny every time I get in the machine. I wonder why."
Also, do the girls get periods? Did we ever cover
They're
that?
all just going through puberty now. They actually say in one
all-
episode, they're like, shit, they're all going through puberty at the same
hits.
time.
Yeah.
Which is also crazy because they're like young teens.
Right.
Or like tweens.
like-
and like she has a baby, dude.
Did Kokoro
Right.
get
She's
pregnant
like
on her
13,
first egg?
14? I don't know, man.
Possible.
No, probably not her first egg. But
Well,
maybe.
I'm just saying,
It's
yeah.
possible.
Maybe. Who
But
knows?
also, like, their aging has been established to be fucked up. Like, in the way that, like, what's Asuka One's name?
Ichigo?
No.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh,
The annoying one.
Miku?
The girl with
Miku,
red
yeah.
hair,
Miku, yeah. Girl Asuka. We see for the first time when they're, like, bathing in the river together, obviously. Another fan service moment. But she doesn't let 02 wash her hair. And then we see why. It's like she's got some gray going on. And then later on, they don't really dive into it much, but it's also because I said her name earlier, Ikuno also goes completely gray after using like the extent of her FRANXX's power.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
what?
that's why that happens?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What was
it's like
that?
piloting the FRANXX, apparently, I guess according to the canon that this show has established, rapidly ages the children to a degree. They also bring it back at the end where they're like, oh, Ikuno, your research has made it so that we don't die like next year.
I feel like they didn't.
Oh yeah, they mentioned
that.
rapid aging at in the last
Yeah.
episode. That was not clear to me at all until that moment,
right.
and I thought it was real dumb that she aged really hard
8 years?
in that one. No, but in that. No, not that. In that moment where she's like in the thing, and then her hair just goes gray.
Yeah.
That wasn't even like a major sacrifice. Like I was expecting some like
Right.
cool shit to happen. She was just like and now my
like,
hair's gray.
she does like slowly start dying. Like she does probably die before everybody else because she's bedridden when everyone has like children and shit.
Right.
No, I just meant like I didn't like that she just went instantly gray in that moment.
Yeah. That's
That was
kind of
silly.
That's a bit
That
heavy-handed.
was silly.
I also
like-
wanted her to have like a lesbian relationship.
Yeah,
They
what
hold,
the
she's
fuck?
holding hands with the girl in the beginning.
Oh yeah,
Which I
Naomi.
think is maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh,
But
yeah.
like they could have done more.
Also,
Right.
she lost an arm somewhere down the line. I was
she
like,
lose
what
an
the
arm?
What?
fuck?
Did
See?
she?
Not Ikuno. The first girl who
Naomi.
Naomi,
Oh,
yeah, who Hiro can't get it up for.
Right.
She like when she comes back, she's just got a flapping arm in the breeze, and when they all hold hands, Ichigo goes for the waist grab.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Because she
that's
doesn't-
why she goes for the waist grab. I didn't even notice that she didn't have an arm.
Me
there.
neither.
I thought she was like nervous, and then Ichigo's like, "Get over here."
No,
Yeah.
her sleeve is just flapping in the breeze. When did
Oh.
she lose an arm?
Probably in, like,
I
the
don't
first
know.
episode.
Maybe in the first episode with that explosion.
Yeah, when shit goes wrong, but they don't
Yeah.
show her afterwards.
Yeah,
It's
they
like, what
don't.
happened to her? Oh, she
So-
went into cryostasis somewhere.
You know what else is weird?
What?
Hiro gives all of his friends names, right? And they make like a huge deal about that, especially in the last episode as well.
Right.
But the first person, or maybe not the first person, but the person who means most to him, which is Ichigo, he gives a name to,
Yeah.
which the name is Ichigo. But her number is 15.
Yeah.
And Ichigo
Is
is
fif-
how you say 15, right?
Well,
or
it's
it's how you say 1-5.
Yeah.
Oh.
So literally he just gives her the name of what her name is.
Right. But also Ichigo's just like a Japanese name.
Right. Yeah.
So it's more
yeah, I've seen
name-like than-
Bleach.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's where it gets a pass, where she's like,
Yeah.
oh, this could be a name, too. Because other people are getting, like, Zorome and shit, and it's like, oh, man, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's true.
Zorome has also got the number 666. He's just, like, the most...
Oh, right.
Is that his number?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I figured he'd be more badass. Turns out you're just annoying
Yeah.
when you...
So I wanted to bring this up after I talked about the massive hand, but episode
Right.
15
The quote.
There's a quote. Ichigo pairs with Hiro when they're like trying to go to 02. I think when 02
Oh,
is
yeah,
going, like,
yeah.
crazy. And when she
works.
pairs with him, she sees some of Hiro's memories, and she says, "Damn it, it's all been about her."
Yeah.
It's hit the feels right there.
Oh, yeah.
Just seeing. Oh, sorry, because Hiro's memories are about like 02. It's all about 02.
Right.
So she's like, "Fuck."
Yeah, that's when you get the actual realization.
Yeah, episode 17. I think it's one of the nines says this when they find that Kokoro has been hiding that what to expect when you're having a baby. They say gender is a pain, only tolerated so we can pilot the FRANXX.
Yeah.
Also interesting.
Which I was like hoping they would explore more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they also mentioned something offhand where it's like, we should go back, like, if it wasn't for this, we should just go back to being, like, monogender or, like, one gender.
Right.
Or, like, genderless or something like that. And I was like, whoa, what? And then, like, later I realized that they're probably, like, it's not as progressive as you think it is. They're talking about the immortal people who've lost, like, their sex entirely. So they're basically agender, asexual.
Right.
And then I was like, but in that moment I was speculating. I was like, what do you mean before? Like, were there no distinction at all at one point? I don't know. Thought that was cool. But again, they didn't develop it as much as they could have.
Yeah.
There's definitely like they introduced the nines, but they didn't really like go into depth. Or,
Yeah,
like,
they're just badasses who are there as a plot device to kind of fuck things up.
And they're
for
cloned from
everyone.
02, right?
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
like 02.
Odd,
Yeah, right. That's the thing. All of their hair are like it's all different colors.
It all comes down to hair.
Yeah.
We see the original Squad 13, and they all have black, boring hair because you're not supposed to care about them.
Right.
I believe they're the original Squad 13. And then you
Like in the
compare them.
photo?
Yeah, in the
Yeah,
photo,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
you compare them to the current Squad 13. You're like, of course, the ones that are current have like hairstyles that stand out because we need to care about them. But all the
Right.
characters in the photo just look like boring clones of themselves.
That was
Yeah.
like another
But-
thing. Like I was like wondering what happens to the regular people who are just like all the same people, like
the children.
the children that are just
Yeah.
boring people.
Well, I mean, I guess they're still people, but like their sense of self is inhibited because of how they're raised. They aren't
Yeah.
raised with nearly as much freedom as
Right,
I guess Squad
identity,
13.
yeah.
Yeah, so like they don't like. I thought it was really interesting when Dr. FRANXX was like, "Oh, like, oh, this is unprecedented. I'd never think that they'd go back to being normal human beings or interacting like normal human beings if we just sort of like let the reins loose." And I was like, "Oh shit, that's kind of crazy," because yeah, everyone else is still deep down probably a normal human, but they've been conditioned to the point where they don't exercise any of their autonomy that they have.
Yeah.
But they need those emotions to be able to pilot the FRANXX at all. Yeah, also, I guess while we're still on the topic of like quotes, one of the things that I found interesting that I think hits at like the core of why I thought this show was good was that whole "you can't swim in the same river twice" deal, which is closer to the end, where it did kind of get a bit fucky, I'll admit, but I think a lot of the show was about, especially within like the character struggles and dynamics, which arguably is the best part of the show. It's like about, a lot of it's about being present, or at least like mindfulness and being able to enjoy what you have while you have it. I thought that was like a cool thing that the show did, and that whole message is definitely more interesting, and they should have developed that more than the power of love or whatever it is that'll set all the people who are fired up about the love triangle going to shit.
I gotta
rest.
say that I did not notice the show like getting at that point at all. Like not even once.
Damn.
I never noticed them ever say that.
Goes to show how bad they did selling that, because I felt like it was definitely a good part of the show, but I wish it took a bigger part of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I also didn't get being present from that. I didn't get the
also did.
Damn, dude.
None of us got it. So I think I have a few last minute things to say about the show. Like the fat kid, when the Papa like abandons all the kids and the kids are all left alone in their house. It's funny that he's bulimic.
Right.
That's it. That's all I want to say.
I thought he was maybe like it was a part of the fever or something. Like he wasn't able to hold food down, which is
Right.
why he wasn't able to eat.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like down for him to be bulimic. I was like, that's interesting. I liked how Zorme got upset, and I was like, oh, they had a moment.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And the whole marriage part was like sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they forget each other. Sad.
Yeah.
All about being. All that shit ties into.
I don't know. Sean just said it like it's just a cold fact.
done,
No
sad.
emotion. Sad. Anyway.
But yeah, no, that part was like with the presentness too. All of it. The marriage shit. It's like
Right.
while it lasted before they lost their memories. It's like that meant something.
Dude,
And
when
then-
they have sex, great payoff. Like, I was like, yes, dude. It's the best.
Oh boy.
So funny. It's interesting that whenever you're piloting a FRANXX, like you're doggy styling somebody.
Right.
But when 01 or whatever her name is, the Klaxosaur princess,
Right.
gets into the mech with Hero, she straddles him.
Right.
Also kisses him against his will. Different pose, face to face. Interesting dynamic.
And then he's just tied up with.
She has a
tentacles
little
in the
more
back.
control.
She has more control.
Yeah.
She should have taken the seat.
Right.
Yeah.
That would have been very interesting. What else do I have to say about any of this? Why doesn't the adult want to be friends with the boy when the boy and the adult talk?
Right, yeah, Zorome, when he gets stuck in that city, and then I think he says, like, oh, when I become an adult, like, maybe you can be my, like, family. And
yeah.
then she's like...
Friend.
Yeah, he's about to say family, and then he says friend.
Friend,
Okay.
Yeah, and then she's like, that's, like, impossible, because... And then they get cut off.
Yeah.
Right. They
That
also
was really
mentioned-
interesting,
Like,
too.
what is that?
They mentioned something in that scene that I feel like didn't get closure, or at least
Yeah.
I missed, where the people who come get him are like, oh, like these poor infected children are the ones that have to deal with it. Like the guy's like, oh fuck, this thing's gross, I don't want to touch it, and then he's like, don't be so mean. These poor fucking pathetic creatures are the ones who are really suffering. It's like, what? I thought they were all sick or something.
Right.
I guess in hindsight, it's just like they're not immortal, so they're gonna die. Also, they exist as fodder against the Klaxosaurs, so
Right.
oh, poor them. you
Also,
know?
the children are called parasites, which I can't believe we're just bringing up now.
right.
They're called parasites. Do you think that's because, like, humanity sees itself as destroying, like, the planet, and the children that they're now putting onto the planet to carry on the generation are parasites on the Earth?
I would think so, but it's also like very self-aware.
I don't think that's the point, but
mean,
I'm just
like-
wondering if you guys think that's
I
the
don't
point.
honestly know why they
I
call
think-
parasites.
No, it definitely like ties in to the whole like theme of like, well, like when you zoom out, look at it from a bird's eye view. It's like, oh yeah, the humans are parasites,
Parasites,
and
yeah.
also the aliens coming down to Earth and stealing the resources are parasites.
Right.
Why do they call the kids that? Shouldn't they call the
I mean,
adults?
they're
just
the
like,
tools of the adults,
I
so,
guess so.
in a way,
They're just like, we need to use the word parasite.
yeah. It's like
Yeah.
we gotta throw this little
Symbolism.
yeah, just shove it in there somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
The director comes to work on, like, the last day before they're about to submit the show. Guys, we need more symbolism. How?
It's like, what have we been calling the kids? Up
We've been
until now?
calling
It's
them
like,
kids. Fuck. Parasites?
What are children?
Shit, we had the two people piloting the mech standing side by side, but that's too Pacific Rim. Can we have them fuck?
Yes, ass handles.
Now that's an idea.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Dude, I did not even understand. I didn't get that at the beginning of our podcast episode. You said ass handles. I was just like, that's a funny term. I didn't realize that you were
That's
talking
why I
about
was
the show.
laughing. Yeah.
I was laughing because it sounded funny.
I mean, yes,
good.
dude.
Nice.
The
Yeah.
ass handles. Never
nice.
forget.
Yeah.
I wasn't too surprised
Hey.
from like Studio Trigger, just because it's like
Yeah, they're like known for
super
their,
sexualized,
pervy shit.
Yeah,
but also it's like funny.
it's funny, and like you can somehow draw conclusions from it, or like there's something to explore there, which
Right.
I like. It's not like
Yeah.
they
Oh,
somehow
there's
they somehow validate the whole nudity part of it. It's just like the
right.
nakedness of everyone.
Right.
There's something to say there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's also like a rap line that you can make about like
Ass handle.
being in the using the ass handles.
It's going to be in Kanye's next album.
Yeah, and like reference. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh my God, maybe.
If only.
Maybe Kim make it happen.
I want to believe that at the studio who's making the show, the director's just like walking through the office. He's like walking past the desk of some like lonely ass intern that he has that's just like caught watching porn on his monitor. He's like covering up the screen.
He's like,
and the director's
no,
like, whoa, wait, stop, pause. It's like somebody fucking doggy style, and he's like, there's something here. We need that. Thank you for the research.
Yeah.
Like, he thanks the intern.
Oh man.
Job well done.
But, like,
Intern's
realistically,
promoted.
It's like some guy, like the director's at home. He's like watching porn, and he's just like, "We need this." Like,
Yeah.
an actual like reality.
Or his
of it.
wife walks in. He's like, "Oh, I'm doing research for the show." See?
See, ass handles. Ass handles.
Look at my notes. I have the receipts.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just need children doing it now.
Dude, there's gotta be. Oh my god. There's gotta be a
dear.
realistic situation behind this. Like, he's at home, like at his work desk, gets bored of work, starts watching porn. Like, when he's done watching porn, you all know what I mean. He pauses the video, puts it aside, and then like starts doing work again. But later looks up at his screen monitor and sees the porn, and he's like, "Whoa, I have to apply this to this drawing that I'm doing right now." Like, you can't just come up with that. It needs to like stumble upon you.
Right.
Anyways,
So-
do you guys have anything left to say about the show?
I honestly think that that's the best way to end it.
I mean, in the director's defense, in those like behind the scenes episodes, I mentioned I felt like I really felt I really felt for the director in the way that he seemed like on the verge of death. Like he's ready to die. He's like, we did everything we fucking could, and I don't know if I did the right thing. I just followed my heart, and I know people are gonna hate it, but I hope people see that we got together and we made something, and it
Right.
was what it was, and that's just all I've got. I feel like he must have died as soon as today.
That's all
when
I've
the
got.
last episode
Ass
aired.
handles.
He's just like he's like ready to like give himself to the void.
Right.
And I feel like maybe he just wanted to make a compelling mecha story, and then some exec at Trigger or like A1 was like, listen, this isn't fitting with our brand. We
Right.
need more sex. How can you make it more sexy? Acid makes them naked. And then that's how we wound up with this crazy clusterfuck that we got. But at the end of the day, I think they did a good job. Maybe not a modern mecha classic, but probably the closest we're ever going to get in this day and age.
Right.
Interesting.
Definitely made noise for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a lot of good going on in the show.
There's a lot of good. I want to
Yeah.
say that.
Like, I hope it didn't come off like we're shitting on the director. We're just joking around.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if you're listening, good job. But like,
yeah, like the first 20 episodes are great.
yeah.
It's just the last 4.
Yeah.
It's like I thoroughly enjoyed the first 20.
Yeah.
Last 4 just dropped the ball, and that's unfortunate.
Would you guys recommend the show to people?
No.
No. I don't know who I'd recommend this to. Like, the thing is, last episode I was saying, like, I loved Megalobox, but I don't know who I'd recommend it to. I guess I recommended it to Joel, like, earlier today. But, so I guess that helped. But, like, I don't know, because of the ending, I don't know who would be satisfied with this ending.
Yeah.
So, no?
So- Yeah, like I would recommend this to somebody saying that it's one of the best, if not the best, visually looking anime I've ever seen. But then they'd ask me what the show's about, and I'd be like, fuck, maybe don't watch it. Or like watch the first 5 episodes, and if you decide to go past that, don't blame me.
Right.
I think this is another anime's anime where it's like if you're
Right.
not used to this shit, like if you
But nobody's used to ass handles. Like nobody's used to that.
I know they're revolutionary in some respects,
Right.
But also I feel like
Breaking new ground.
to the uninitiated, this would probably be way too much. But to
Yeah.
someone who's seen like any Gundam or any other mecha, Eureka 7 and Evangelion, and if they're like, I need something, I want something.
If you're looking for a good mech,
Here's ass
Yeah.
handles.
definitely, it's definitely like
I think this is a
better
good.
mech in general.
Yeah,
It's
no,
definitely
I,
up there in the mech genre. That's
I
it.
definitely think so. And I feel like maybe this is the best modern one since Eureka 7, or even Dylan and I would say Code Geass. Sean would severely disagree. Where do you stand on Code Geass?
I didn't finish it because
Oh,
I just got
fair.
upset
Oh.
when she
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Just throw the
The spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
man yelling
The
on that
screaming
part.
man.
Okay, so did it get like upset in a good way? Like you were like hurt?
Are
Like,
we
it was
talking?
emotional?
Are we talking
Oh,
about?
dude,
Are we talking about the
dude.
same part with the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I quit the show when that
Yeah.
happened, and then I came back later.
Yeah.
Man, that was like hard to watch.
Dude.
Like, the end, that show does like really toy with your
It
emotions.
fucks you.
Oh my goodness, dude. Anyway,
And I was in high school. Like,
Yeah.
I watched it when it came out, and then I watched that, and then so I was just like, fuck this. And the second
Yeah.
season came out, I was just like, I can't do this again.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I was also going through puberty at that time.
Right.
And it's just like
not a good time to
not
watch
a good
it.
time
Yeah.
to see a. But anyways,
You gotta beep over that too.
you know what? Okay, fuck it. But
Maybe.
fuck it. You know what? Modern mecha classic. I would recommend it to someone who's been initiated.
If you like mecha, like the mech genre, I think you have to watch it because it's definitely like there aren't that many great like mech.
Yeah,
like, series.
nowadays they're
Yeah.
few and far between.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
So we've been the Shonen Chumps.
We still are the Shonen Chumps.
We will always be the Shonen Chumps. And we love to talk to you and hear from you, just like you might maybe like to love and talk and hear from us. And you can contact us at Shonen Chumps on Twitter, right?
Yes.
You can email us at shonenchumps@gmail.com.
Facts.
You can hear from us at youtube.com/shonenchumps, SoundCloud, Shonen Chumps.
And if you leave us a review on iTunes, Apple, whatever it is, podcast, or
even
Google Play,
Google Play or the new Google Podcast
remember,
app, which I think it's just called Podcasts.
Yeah.
whatever it is, remember that Sean is obligated to read whatever you write live on the podcast.
It's not just an obligation. I will love doing it.
Be it horrible or good, preferably good, it
Yeah.
does help. So do that if you want. We're not cops.
Yet.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, do that too,
Sure, yeah.
actually. If you want to
Thanks, Joel.
subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
we never say that.
That's
right.
Holy shit.
Right.
You have to do.
Right.
Yeah.
We say watch us on YouTube,
Yeah.
not subscribe. Sure, do
All right,
that.
do that too.
And
Yeah.
leave a comment below.
yeah, let us know
Nice,
your
Joel.
thoughts.
How do you feel?
Yeah.
True.
How did you feel about
Do you
Darling
feel
in the Franxx?
things? Let's find out.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Also, thanks to Joel for
Yeah.
Yeah,
not
thank you,
joining
Joel.
us.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Joel.
I'm glad I'm the inaugural guest.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Feels good.
It's been nice.
Feels
Pop the
natural.
cherry.
Ugh.
あんたバカ？
Asian man yelling at one point to cover up a spoiler.
Yeah. Though that's
was
our
good.
go-to. Our bleep sound is just a screaming Asian man.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's good.